There is a woman in Portland who has been blind since she was 4 years old. She is in her 40s now, and if you asked her what she sees, she would tell you something that most sighted people are not prepared to hear. Not darkness, not black, nothing. And the difference between those three answers is one of the stranger gaps in human experience. Most people, when they try to imagine blindness, imagine closing their eyes. That is darkness. Darkness is something. It has texture. Your visual system is actively producing it. What she experiences is not that. It is the complete absence of visual experience. Not black, not dark, just not there. The same way you don't see anything out of the back of your head right now. The human brain is not a passive recorder. It is constantly constructing reality, filling gaps, making predictions, generating experience from incomplete information, and when one of its input channels goes silent, it does not stop. It keeps generating. And when one of its primary input channels goes silent, it does not simply go quiet. It does something far stranger. It keeps going. In the 1760s, a Swiss naturalist named Charles Bonnet noticed something alarming about his grandfather. The old man, nearly blind from cataracts, had begun seeing things. Vivid, detailed, impossible things. Men in magnificent robes, birds with brilliant feathers, buildings that weren't there. The visions were extraordinarily clear, and the old man knew completely that none of it was real. Bonnet documented the phenomenon carefully. Nobody listened for 200 years. It was eventually named Charles Bonnet syndrome. The brain, deprived of visual input, begins generating its own. Not a sign of mental illness, just a brain doing what brains do. In sighted people, the visual cortex responds to visual input. That is what it is for. In people who are born blind, that same region gets recruited for other things. Reading Braille activates it. Processing language activates it. Recognizing faces by touch activates it. The region that was supposed to be exclusively for seeing becomes a general-purpose, high-resolution processing area. This is why people who are born blind develop what sighted people call superhuman hearing. It is not that their ears are better. The anatomy is identical. It is that the processing power that would have been used for vision has been reassigned to sound. The result is a resolution of auditory experience that most sighted people cannot achieve regardless of practice. When a blind person navigates a room by listening, they are running sound through neural hardware that, in a sighted person, would be processing color and shape. The result is a complete map of the space, built not from what she sees, but from what she hears, processed through hardware designed for vision. In 2011, a researcher named David Eagleman ran experiments where blind participants navigated obstacle courses using a grid of vibrations on their back, a device that translated a camera's visual input into patterns of touch. Within hours, some participants were navigating as accurately as sighted people. Within days, the device stopped feeling like a translation. The brain had absorbed the new input and made it native, which raises a question that nobody has cleanly answered. What does a blind person actually experience when they dream? People who are born blind never see in their dreams. Their dreams are built entirely from the senses they actually have. Extraordinarily rich in sound, texture, temperature, movement, emotion, not lesser dreams, different ones. Not lesser dreams, different ones. Dreams built from a different architecture of experience. One study found that people born blind reported more nightmares than sighted people, attributed to a more intense engagement with emotionally significant sounds and voices. The primary way threat announces itself in a non-visual world. People who have been blind since birth use color language fluently. They say the sky is blue, that stop signs are red, that grass is green. For a long time, researchers assumed this was purely verbal, learned associations with no inner content. Recent work suggests that may be wrong. Researchers used fMRI to watch what happens when blind people hear color words. When sighted people hear color words, a small region activates. When people born blind hear color words, the same region activates, partially overlapping. The brain may be constructing some internal representation of color from language and context and association alone, without ever having received a single photon of light. What does that representation look like from the inside? We don't know. The brain may be constructing something, some internal representation built entirely from language and association. Not what you see when you look at the sky. Something else, something built from the inside out. What that representation feels like, whether it feels like anything at all, we cannot currently know.